Hey everyone, it's the Newfound Nomad, and today I'm going to show you how I converted my Honda Accord into a car camper. I first did this 2 years ago when I turned my Corolla camper, which can be found on TikTok, into a car camper as well. I used to call it my Corolla camper. So this is actually pretty easy to do. First, you're going to want to take out your back seats, as this bed is going to extend from where your back seats were, passing through into your trunk. This is actually a pretty easy step to remove your back seats from your vehicle. Just requires some patience, and if you're not sure on how to remove them from your car, be sure to hit up YouTube. I mean, it's so helpful, and you'll learn a lot of tips and tricks from different people who have done the same like we're doing. So there's a total of 4 bolts that have to be removed. One's for your bottom seats and one for your cushions that are up against the trunk. So in order to remove the bottom seat, you have to remove the cushions that are up against your trunk first. All cars are different, but I know this is for how my Honda Accord works. Believe it or not, you think that these seats might be heavy, but they're actually pretty light, especially the one that goes up against your trunk. And what I did is I just removed the cushions, put them in my room, and threw a sheet over it so the cat didn't scratch them. Once you have the bolts removed from the cushion that's facing the trunk, you are going to remove the bolts from the bottom seat. So once you have the bottom seat bolt removed, there is a little white plastic clasp or button, whatever you want to call it, on the front. You just squeeze it, pull it out, and the seat should just pop right off. And as you can see now, the seats are completely removed. So once the seats are removed, you can start building your bed frame. I was so excited to build my bed frame that I actually forgot to record some of it as I was building it. Nevertheless, you can head to YouTube and actually find a lot of tutorial videos on how to build a bed frame for a Honda Civic, Honda Accord, Toyota Corolla. They all are really similar, so you can just find one and kind of modify it that it fits your vehicle, as you can see here. Very excited that the part of the frame that goes in the trunk worked out. I have a Honda Accord, however, I used a Honda Civic YouTube tutorial video on how to build one. So this is some of the video clip that I managed to film and didn't forget, even though I was like halfway through the project. I was like, oh, maybe I should record, me cutting something or sawing something. Which leads me to say, if you are new to building any sort of frame or any sort of project, remember safety first, wear your goggles, be sure you learn how to use a specific tool before going in and using it. It can be nerve-wracking, but if you follow safety precautions, then you should be able to successfully build your project in the safest way possible. So now that I've got the bed frame built, I'm just sweeping up any sawdust that may have gotten in, or any sticks or stones or gravel that I dragged in while measuring out the bed frame. This would have been a lot easier if I did it before adding in the bed frame, but hey, we're learning lessons here. So now I'm taking a yoga mat that I got for $5 at the dollar store. I'm actually going to use this to line the bottom here where the car seat used to be, to make it a little more beautiful to the eye, but also to kind of protect where the car seat used to be as well, so it doesn't get dirty and anything fall into the places where it shouldn't be, if you know what I mean. This is something that I should have done also before I put the frame in there, but hey, we live and we learn. I just lift the frame up and kind of like shimmy the mat in there so we can get it to fit. What I like about using the yoga mat is that it's very flexible. It's easy to maneuver underneath the bed frame if you make the mistake like I did and putting it in there after the bed frame was added. It's also easier to shape. It's not permanent, because a lot of people like to use like some sort of self-adhesive to kind of line it, but then when you decide to put your back seats in when you're done car camping, it's going to leave a sticky residue, and we don't want this. So pretty much I just took the yoga mat, kind of measured it out using my eyeball. Of course, no measuring tape. Why not? I mean, that would be more practical, but hey, we live and we learn. So once I have it measured in there, I'm just going to cut off the excess to make sure it fits. And I actually tucked it underneath parts of the plastic there. You'll see that further along in this clip. And I kind of like it because you can just like tuck it in there. It's nice and snug. I did end up having to use duct tape, and you're wondering what happened there. I kind of put my body weight on a piece of the frame and I cracked it. So we're going to have to, later on in the video, actually add a support beam to kind of support it more. I mean, hey, like, this is probably the second time I've only ever made a frame in my life. No, it actually is the second time I've ever made a frame. And this one was different compared to my Toyota Corolla. That one was sturdy. However, hey, like I said, first time building it in an Accord, so we're living and we learned. So I actually ended up having to support the whole frame around later on. We don't get to see that, but that's okay. I don't highly recommend that you guys, use the exact pieces of wood that I use in the same design. Do your own research. Go check out numerous different YouTube videos on how to create your own frame, and that way you can build it the way that you want. When I told you that I actually learned this from a YouTube video, that was still correct. However, they didn't do a step-by-step instruction how to build it. They were kind of just doing a tour, so I had to actually screenshot as their video was playing, like the different angles of the frame, and I kind of just built it based on those pictures. So it doesn't look exactly like theirs, but hey, my frame works. Keep in mind, as I mentioned, second time building a car frame, and I'm no carpenter. So as you can see, I've got the liner placed and I have it tucked underneath the plastic. I do use duct tape to help kind of secure it. It doesn't really stick well to the yoga mat, but hey, it kind of just keeps it in place. It all works. So this is the part in the video where I talked about where I actually had to use a piece of wood to help stabilize the frame that I put my pressure on and ended up cracking it. Because what happened was when I was screwing in the screw, the board ended up splitting. And I didn't realize that, so when I put my weight on it, it cracked. That's okay, nothing that a little piece of wood can't fix, and I actually ended up going around, as I mentioned, to the whole frame and stabilizing it and putting in more than one screw. So you're probably wondering why the duct tape's there. That's what I used to kind of like hold it together. And then I just used the board, as you can see there, to help stabilize it. You wanted a DIY? You got one. This is the Newfound Nomad style. So now that we have that all nice and secure, I'm going to be showing you my bed. As you can tell, there are two frames. We got the trunk frame, which is a separate piece, and then we have the secondary frame right here. So this is a frame that kind of like fits on top of where my back seat should go. And now I'm kind of just adjusting it and making sure that it's leveled with the frame in the trunk. When you're building the secondary frame, some legs are going to be shorter than the others, some are going to be longer. It all depends on the shape of your back seat. In this clip, you're going to see me adding the headrest. So right now you've seen the trunk frame and the secondary frame that goes over the back seats, and now we're adding, as I mentioned, the headrest. So you're probably wondering, why is the headrest separate from the secondary frame? And the reason that is that I want to be able to remove the headrest when I'm in transport. See, if myself or my passenger has to adjust our seats, the headrest will be in the way. So by having a removable headrest, I still can, drive comfortably, and if I wanted to take a passenger, like I'm bringing them somewhere and dropping them off, I can still have one. So as you can see, it just comes up from behind the center console, and it just goes on top of the bed. Now I need to, kind of like find a way to keep this from sliding around when I'm transporting or traveling. Probably some hooks and bungee cords, but we'll save that for a future me to deal with. So we're just coming around and I'm going to show you the complete bed frame all put together. Pretty nice, eh? As you can tell, some of the cut work is not really that great, but hey, I did pretty good for someone who's only used a circular saw twice in my life. What I didn't mention when I was putting the bed frame together is that this board actually comes up. And the reason why I did this is so I can actually store things underneath the bed frame if I needed to. Whether that's like a sheet or a yoga mat, or hey, even some curtains, which you're actually going to see in the upcoming clip on how I secured my curtains without creating any damage, and you'll never suspect what I end up doing. I almost dropped the phone there, but we're all good. As you can tell, I'm just testing out the headrest, the whole frame together. You know what? I love it. I absolutely love it. This is definitely my best and favorite car camper conversion that I've done yet. I actually have another idea for future car camping trips, but we'll talk about that in our next video. So I'm just giving you an angle here of what it looks like from the trunk. I'm a fairly short person. I'm 5'5", and I'm tiny, so, you know, having my feet going through the pass-through into the trunk works. This may not work if you're a lot taller or a little bit bigger, but it's worth a shot. So now that we've got the bed frame made, we're gonna decorate. This is my favorite part. So when I tell you trying to put curtains up in this Honda Accord was difficult, I mean, it was difficult. It was so frustrating at times. So here you're seeing that I'm using command strips. And you're probably thinking to yourself, yeah, this shit works. This stuff sticks. And it can be removed without any damage. Boy, wasn't I wrong about one of those two things. So at first I decided to use some twine. Twine is great. As a prepper, I absolutely love twine. It's lightweight, so I'm like, hey, this will work. So I'm just fast forwarding this so I don't spend, 5 minutes trying to tie a loop in the twine. As you can see, I was struggling, but we eventually got it. So now that I've got one hooked into the command strip, we're going to the other one. So I kind of just measured at the string to make sure that I had enough length to like hang the curtain, but also enough, to make another loop. Pretty basics when it comes to hanging a curtain with string. The difficult part was trying to get the string through the curtain. As these are already pre-made curtains, it was difficult. I wish I had a safety pin or something to help me thread it through, but I did eventually give up on the twine. I'm like, this is not working, this is taking forever. But I ended up coming up with another idea that ended up working 10 times better. So I actually ended up finding some wire. This wire was actually in my grandfather's car kit before he passed away, and my grandmother, when she gave me the truck, this was in it. So I thought, hey, wire would be so much more sturdy, and I'll be able to thread it through the curtain a lot better, and a lot quicker too. And that happened. I was able to get it through the curtain in no time. So what I did, I actually made the loops in the wire before threading it too, and it actually made it a lot better because the wire wasn't really bending up, and I had like a guide point that I can use to kind of push it through. And then I'm like, yes, awesome. We've got the curtain, quote unquote, rod made. It's hanging up there looking nice, and then it fell. It actually ripped the command strip right off the top of the car there. And by the way, the command strip is on the plastic, so you think it would stick. And I'm like trying it. I'm like, okay, we'll try it again. Don't mind that orange patch in the curtain. I thought I was trying to do something with it, but I ended up taking it off because it just didn't look good at all. I just have black curtains now, as you can see in some of my videos. So I'm over there trying to hang it up once more, and then all of a sudden I pulled too hard, and guess what? The command strip fell again. So, you know, I was getting kind of frustrated, and I was like, okay, this is probably not going to work, but we're going to try it once more. And it's like just with that weight, because the wire is not as light as twine, and then when you add the curtains on it, it gets a lot more heavier. I did try using duct tape, and that didn't work either. So what I actually did is I don't know if you noticed it because the kind of video is too far down. I actually took the piece of wire and tucked it in between the fabric and the plastic, and it held up pretty nice. I just kind of like took the loop and made like a hook and like hooked it in, and it looks great. Ta-da! See? End up working great. And when I'm done with the curtain and I'm transporting or traveling, whatever you want to call it, I just pop it out, fold it in so the curtain doesn't keep sliding off the piece of wire. So I just kind of like fold it in, and then I tuck it away in storage, and we're set. So now that we've got the curtain mastered, thank goodness we got the curtain done. That was a struggle. I decided that I was going to add like a headboard frame. Let's actually call it like a spoiler, like something that you see on the back of a car. And my original plan for this was to actually make like a backboard for like a seat, so I could put a cushion next to the frame and kind of sit down and then rest my back up against it. But my plans end up changing further on in the video. You'll see that. So right now I'm just adding, you know, some faux fur to kind of make it look retro and cute. What do you guys think of it? I think it looks great. Also, like, I'm not a very good painter, so if I can cover something with some fabric or faux fur, I'm all for it. So you'll notice throughout this video, there's a bunch of different locations where I'm working on this, you know, car camper conversion. That's because it took me, I'd say, about 4 days to actually complete it. That's because I was like planning it out, trying to, you know, use or really get the use out of my material so I don't waste anything or have to pay more money. A lot of the things that you see, they were either donated or I recycled them. I only actually ended up having to buy the 1x2x4s, I believe it's called, and some screws, and the rest got it donated. So now I'm just showing you what it looks like with the piece of foam in there, and I also use a yoga mat. I still use this today. I like the yoga mat because what it does is that it actually kind of like acts as a grip, so I'm not sliding on the foam. And it gives it just like a little bit more cushion, and honestly, it looks really great. Here we are with my Newfound Nomad logo on this pillow that was made by my gal, Savannah House. Thank you so much. She made this for me about like 2 years ago, and I still love it. It still goes in my car every time I do one of these car camper conversions. So as you can see here, this is the car camper conversion. You got the backboard there. I'm gonna kind of like zoom out, and you can see that I got a cushion there for a seat. However, that all changes, and I developed a blueprint to make this more organized, just to really like one up my original design. I decided to take the seat out of there and actually make where the like backboard is a great kind of foundation or wall or whatever you call it. Like I said, I'm not a carpenter, but use this to actually affix these shelves. So these shelves I got from the dollar store. They were like $4.50 each. They are made from bamboo, and you'll actually see further on in the clip or in the video that they weren't the easiest to work with, but I did love how they perfectly fit on that backboard. So as I was putting this all together, my boyfriend called out to me and said, like,
what are you
doing?
Where
Naru is. Naru, my sweet little boy, my wild animal. I love him so much. It's too bad that he doesn't really like the car, because he would be coming with me on some of these adventures. So what I actually had to do was I had to cut out a piece of the fur so I can actually screw the shelf on. You will see that sometimes I actually didn't cut the faux fur, And it worked out, like the screw went through, but other times it actually, like the fur wrapped up around the screw. So I did have to cut it for certain parts. So, as I mentioned before, bamboo was really hard to work with. Well, this dried out bamboo that I got from the dollar store, yeah, it was. You'll actually see, it was difficult to kind of like screw into. And I actually had to like keep taking the shelf off to kind of put more pressure and pre-drill a hole first through the bamboo so I could get it to work. Eventually I got the screw through, but guess what? When I put the pressure on the screw, as I was screwing it into the backboard, I actually ended up cracking the bamboo and it just split. And I was like, oh, it's on there, but once I actually start putting things in the shelves, it'll eventually just fall right off. As you can tell, I was pretty disappointed. I kept thinking to myself, well, what I'm gonna do? I spend money on this. So I ended up flipping it to the side, and the bottom, which is this press board here, is now the back of the shelf. That's the way it was supposed to go. That wasn't going to work, so we had to go through the press board way. And you know what? It ended up actually working. And pretty secure too, but I just couldn't put too much weight on it or it would have went right through the press board. But I have been putting things in those shelves since I've done it, and it's been working out great. Ta-da! We have a shelf. So I just repeated this, actually the step for 3 more shelves. And it's turning out to look quite nice. Now, the shelves are not leveled. You'll probably tell that in some of my videos going forth. Next time I build another car camper conversion, because I'm sure I will again, because I love doing this, I will use a measuring tape and a level. I did use a measuring tape for the frame at some times. I did, I promise. So once I have those 3 shelves on, I didn't show the other 3 getting done because, you know, you guys seen it once, you probably know what I did for the next 3 times. I did get this cute little shelf from the dollar store, and it says happiness blooms from within. I'm not a big fan of corny quotes, but hey, it was the nicest one there, and it kind of fit perfectly on top of this backboard or spoiler. That's right, that's what we were calling it. And I kind of just drilled it in place so it wouldn't move in transport, or if, you know, I had to press on the brakes, not everything came flying at me in the, you know, driver's seat. And this is what the great thing about building this backboard or spoiler, whatever you want to call it, I was able to build shelving without having to worry about damaging my vehicle. And the spoiler is actually attached to the secondary bed frame itself. I didn't show that part because that's one of the parts where I just got too excited and I forgot to film, but that's actually how it's attached. Nothing is attached to the car itself. Isn't that pretty cool? Now that all the shelving is installed, we are just going to decorate it a little bit more. I once had that vine, you know, on my car seat, but I didn't really like it. So what I did is I ended up wrapping it around the top of the spoiler and actually bringing it down between the 2 shelves, and it turned out super nice. Fun fact, which you probably don't care about, but I'm going to share with you anyways. This staple gun actually came from a yard sale. They were ending their yard sale and they were giving stuff away for free, and I got a free staple gun. Isn't that cool? And it's great for doing projects like this, especially as someone like me who's not good at applying self-adhesive or painting. Being able to, you know, staple some fabric or some vines or some lights is really easy for me. And with that 20-minute long car camper conversion, here she is. I think she looks pretty great. As I mentioned, she ain't perfect, but she's perfect enough for me. So this is what it kind of looks like when you shed some light on it. I will do more things like kind of like trim up the curtains and give it a little hem so it stops raveling, maybe a little zigzag stitch. But here we are. This is the Newfound Nomad's camper conversion of her Honda Accord. As you can see, my feet extend into the trunk. People call this a pass-through, and I can see why. And here she is. This is what she looks like in the nighttime. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, stay safe, stay kind, and much love to you all. Stay tuned for more great content. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up.